You think you know Ontario? You picture Toronto skyscrapers and call it a day. But what if I told you this one province is straight up geographical insanity? It's bigger than France and Spain combined. It's got 30,000 islands in a single bay. It holds 1/5 of all the fresh water on Earth. It has islands inside lakes, inside islands. It has real wild polar bears. It has an ancient asteroid crater still making them rich today. And it goes from Caribbean-style beaches straight to full Arctic tundra, all in the same province. I'm about to drop 7 facts so insane they sound completely fake, but every single one is 100% real. Buckle up, because fact number 1 already goes stupidly, almost comically huge. Let's go. Fact number 1. Ontario is stupidly, almost comically huge. We're talking 1,076,395 square kilometers of land, bigger than France and Spain put together and roughly double the size of Texas. If you stretched it out north to south, it measures 1,691 kilometers from the southernmost tip all the way up to the shores of Hudson Bay. East to west, it spans 1,568 kilometers. That's 2 entire time zones inside one province. Most people, when they think of Ontario, immediately picture the bright lights of Toronto, the skyscrapers, the hustle of Canada's biggest city. But here's the part that changes everything. The vast majority of the province, especially everything north of about the middle, is wild, empty wilderness. You could fit entire countries inside that northern stretch and still have room left over. The population density in the far north is lower than some parts of the Sahara Desert. This size means that driving across Ontario isn't like driving across a typical province. It's like crossing continents. You start in the mild, almost Mediterranean-feeling south and end up in subarctic tundra. One province holding that much land, that much variety, and that much sheer scale is already insane. But it gets so much wilder when you realize what lives on that land and what's hiding underneath it. Size alone would be enough to make Ontario special, but wait until you hear about the latitude madness that comes next. Fact number 2 is going to completely shatter what you think a single bay can contain. Tucked into Georgian Bay, which forms the eastern side of Lake Huron, lies the 30,000 Islands, the largest freshwater archipelago on the entire planet. Yes, you read that right. Approximately 30,000 islands and rocky islets scattered across this one massive bay. Some are just tiny specks of ancient granite poking above the waves, barely big enough for a single tree. Others are large enough to support entire forests, sandy beaches, cottages, and even small communities. This incredible collection stretches more than 200 kilometers along the shoreline, creating a labyrinth of hidden channels, sheltered coves, and pristine wilderness that feels like a freshwater version of the Greek Isles or the Caribbean, except it's all right here in Ontario. The glaciers of the last ice age carved these thousands upon thousands of islands straight out of the ancient Canadian Shield bedrock, leaving behind a maze so complex that boaters and kayakers can spend lifetimes exploring new routes without ever seeing the same island twice. It's a boater's paradise, a paddler's dream, and one of the most visually stunning geographical features in North America. This isn't some tiny cluster you could miss on a map. It's a sprawling freshwater island empire inside a single bay, redefining what coastal means when there's no ocean in sight. But as wild as the land and these islands get, nothing prepares you for the water that surrounds them all. Fact number 3. Ontario is basically the planet's personal freshwater storage unit. This province holds more than 250,000 lakes and over 100,000 kilometers of rivers and streams. That's enough inland water to cover the entire surface of the province in a layer almost a meter deep. Combined with the Great Lakes, Ontario contains about one entire fifth of all the fresh water on Earth. 4 of the 5 Great Lakes touch Ontario's borders. Only Lake Michigan stays entirely on the US side. The name Ontario itself comes from an Iroquois word that roughly translates to shining waters or beautiful lake, and once you see it from the air, you understand why. These waters don't just sit there looking pretty. They power hydroelectric dams, support massive shipping routes that move goods across the continent, and create ecosystems that support millions of people and countless species. Imagine every river you've ever crossed on a road trip in Ontario feeding into this massive network. It's not just a province with some nice lakes. It's a hydrological superpower quietly holding a resource more valuable than oil in the coming century. And one of those lakes hides something so geographically bizarre, it feels like nature playing tricks on us. Fact number 4 is pure geographical Russian nesting doll territory. And it's the one that always makes people rewind the video. Welcome to Manitoulin Island in Lake Huron, the largest freshwater island in the entire world at 2,766 square kilometers. That's bigger than Luxembourg, bigger than some small countries. But here's where it gets insane. Manitoulin Island contains 108 lakes of its own. Inside one of those lakes, Lake Mindemoya, sits Treasure Island, which is itself the world's largest island located inside a lake that's sitting on an island that's sitting inside another lake. 4 layers deep of island. Within island geography, it's like the planet decided to show off its fractal geometry skills. Glaciers from the last ice age carved out these features, leaving behind this nested wonder that indigenous peoples, particularly the Odawa and Ojibwe, have called home for thousands of years. They knew about this long before satellite imagery confirmed it. Manitoulin isn't just big. It's a living museum of how ice, water, and time can create geographical puzzles that still boggle the minds of modern geographers. If that doesn't change how you see Ontario, nothing will. But we're only halfway through, and the next fact involves something that literally fell from space. Fact number 5. Ontario got absolutely clobbered by space, and the evidence is still reshaping the province today. About 1.85 billion years ago, long before dinosaurs even existed, a massive asteroid or comet, somewhere between 10 and 15 kilometers wide, slammed into what is now the Sudbury area at hypersonic speeds. The impact created one of the largest and oldest preserved impact structures on Earth. The original crater may have been anywhere from 130 to 250 kilometers wide. The force was so immense it melted the crust, created a massive sheet of molten rock, and scattered debris across the planet. Today, that ancient scar is the Sudbury Basin. And it's not just a geological curiosity. It's the reason for one of the richest concentrations of nickel, copper, platinum, and other metals on Earth. Mining companies have been pulling wealth out of that impact site for over a century. NASA even sends astronauts here to train because the shattered, mineral-rich rocks and impact melt breccias look eerily similar to what they'll find on the Moon and Mars. Standing in the Sudbury Basin is like walking on an alien landscape right here in Canada. One cosmic punch billions of years ago literally built part of Ontario's economy and left a scar so big it's visible from space. Talk about changing how you see a province. Every time you drive through Sudbury, you're driving through an asteroid wound that healed into treasure. Fact number 6. Yes, Ontario has real, wild polar bears, and they're not in some far-off territory. They're right here in the province's backyard. Polar Bear Provincial Park is Ontario's largest protected area at a staggering 23,000 square kilometers of pure Hudson Bay lowlands tundra. This is the southernmost breeding population of polar bears on the entire planet. While people are swimming and sunbathing down south on Pelee Island, these bears are patrolling the ice floes of Hudson Bay and James Bay, hunting seals in one of the most remote and pristine wilderness areas left in North America. The park is so vast and untouched that it feels like stepping into another continent. You can literally plan a road trip that starts in Caribbean-like summer heat and ends with Arctic wildlife viewing in the same province. Climate change is pushing these bears farther south in some seasons, making their presence even more remarkable and fragile. Ontario isn't just temperate or boreal, it reaches all the way into true Arctic conditions. That contrast is what makes the geography so addictive to explore. Fact number 7. Underneath almost 2/3 of Ontario lies the Canadian Shield, one of the oldest exposed rock formations on the planet. Some of these rocks date back more than 4 billion years, nearly to the very beginnings of Earth's crust. Glaciers during the last ice age scraped and gouged this ancient bedrock, creating the perfect conditions for the thousands upon thousands of lakes and rivers we see today. The Shield is the geological backbone of the province, hard, resistant granite and gneiss that refuse to erode easily while softer rocks around it washed away. This is why Northern Ontario looks so rugged and lake-dotted. It's also why the province is rich in minerals. The Shield holds some of the oldest gold, nickel and diamond deposits ever discovered. When you stand on those ancient rocks, you're literally touching the foundation of the continent. It puts human history into perspective. Ontario's story didn't start when settlers arrived, it started when the planet was still forming. If this video opened your eyes to how incredible Ontario really is, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a deep dive.